Hello, everyone. Today's guest is someone whose nickname alone tells you everything about his work ethics and mastery of the market. When New Yorkers call the expert, they are talking about one man only who is Eyal Adri. Eyal isn't just another real estate broker in New York City. He is trusted advisor behind the residential dreams, commercial expansion, and multi-million dollar investment decisions. Eyal Adri has built a reputation in one of the toughest real estate market in the world, which is New York City, working across residential, commercial, and investment deals. Today, we are deep diving into New York market through his eyes, the fast wins, the hidden risks, and negotiation battles. The secret only a true New York City expert can share with us. Eyal, a very warm welcome to the show.
Having me. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So, Eyal, why do people call you Eyal the Expert? And what do you think truly separates an expert from someone who has just been in real estate for such a long time?
Great question. So I needed to get a brand and I was thinking about it and I like synonyms. So one day I was taking a client out. I was showing him a neighborhood. It was in Brooklyn. And he was like, well, how do I know the neighborhood's gentrifying? So I said, listen, you don't need all that data and all that stuff. Let's walk into the local bodega. And if we see the right things, which is, are they selling gourmet snacks? Are they selling cold pressed juice? Do they have a proper coffee, cafe, bistro setup? Once you see that, the neighborhood's on the way up. And then he was like, wow, I love that. You're an expert. And then it hit me. Eyal The Expert. I tested it out with friends and family on Facebook, and Eyal The Expert stuck. I had a few different variations, but that's how I got the name.
You have also seen multiple market cycles. What signals do you watch first when the market shifts? And why do rentals often tell you more than sales?
What tells me when the market shifts?
Yes.
So basically, I still do rentals today because rentals are a great gauge to show you what the city's doing. If people are moving in, the city's hot. People are moving out, the city's cold. So that really helps me adapt and pivot to the different, to the different trends in the market. So that's how I do it.
Interesting. And how do you decide when to focus more on buyers, sellers, rentals, or investors as market conditions change?
Well, basically, you adapt. I adapt them. Luckily, I'm well versed on every aspect. I started out with rentals, then I moved to buyers, to sellers, to investors. Since I'm well informed on all those different strategies, and each one has a little bit of a different strategy. If I see the market is trending towards buyers, I'll focus my energy to the buyer side because that's where the money is. Follow the money. So that's what I kind of do. And wherever the demand is, I'll shift my focus to that. And wherever people need a lot more help, I'll also shift my focus to that as well. So let's say right now we're in a buyer's market. Sellers need more help. So I know there's a great opportunity for me to help the sellers to market their property the right way, to get it set up the right way. So that's how I kind of do it. Wherever I'm needed, that's where I shift my energy to.
In today's market, what honest choices do sellers really have, and what truths do they struggle most to accept emotionally?
Sure, sellers right now, there's not as many buyers as there are that what sellers like. The more buyers there are, the more high demand it is, and the more opportunity the sellers have to get the most money for their property. That's not the case at the present moment. It's a buyer's market right now. So basically, with the sellers, I basically explain to them where the market's at, make them meet their expectations, and also pivot with strategy. What's the best strategy? So if they can't get the price they want, then we'll convert them and make them a landlord. We'll rent the apartment out, for 1 or 2 years, take a break. They'll get some investment. They'll become like an investor in a way. They'll get some income revenue. And all of a sudden the market conditions will get a little bit better. They sell it for the price they want. That's one strategy. Another strategy is if there's money to be made, we say, listen, let's get the best deal we can. And then you can move on with your next venture. I had that with one particular seller. He had a great opportunity to buy on Long Island. He didn't get exactly the price he wanted for the property in Manhattan, but he sold it and he made great money on the property he bought in Long Island. So in a way, it kind of worked out for him, so it just depends what every seller wants. And my job is to educate them and to educate pretty much anybody I work with. What the idea is, this is what the market's doing. Here are the best options we have. Decide what's the best decision you want to do with the information you have.
Understood. And I would like to understand more about on the blind side deals, inside deals now. So, what is a blindside deal in real estate, and what is one moment that forced you to change how you operate professionally?
Well, I'll tell you right now. I'll give you a blind side is something obviously you don't see coming. Lately, I don't know if your listeners are familiar with co-op. A co-op is a cooperative. In New York City, 80% of the apartments are co-opt, which basically it's a
Mm-hmm.
cooperative. You own a share, not real property, but you own shares in the building. So
Yeah.
basically, very extensive paperwork. When you have a buyer, we have to submit the extensive paperwork to the co-op board. Then they set up an interview, and then if you do good in the interview, you're approved, and you can buy the apartment. Co-op boards were very lenient. 2 years previously, they were very lenient. I got a lot. I didn't really have any issues with them getting people approved as long as they met the financial need. But now they've gotten a little bit tougher. Basically, if they don't like something in the paperwork, they will not even give you the interview. They'll deny you. And that happened to two deals on to me. So I got
Yeah.
blindsided. So what I did
Mm-hmm.
to pivot moving forward was basically I started getting more information from the transit agent. He's the embodiment of the co-op, and make sure to understand what the co-op wants and be very detail oriented. And then when I find the prospective buyer, make sure they meet those details as best they can. And then I will check with the transit agents to see what the possibility of getting an approval or a denial.
But yeah, here I wanted to understand, why has this sudden change come in the co-op board?
The co-op boards, they got sued like I think, like I don't know, 8 9 years ago, and they got
Okay.
very timid, so they were very nervous. But then lately they found a way. They understood the laws better and what they can and can't do, and then they started getting more stricter and more aggressive in their behavior. So I guess it was a learning curve for them, so that's what I see happen.
And who all are the members in co-op board? Can you just educate our audience on this?
Sure, the members are mostly residents in the building. They're
Okay.
volunteers. They're elected, usually about anywhere from 2 to 5 people is usually the standard.
Okay. So basically, they are the ones who may decides what is going to happen, right?
Yeah, yeah. They're elected. The residents, they have an election. They pick these two, three, 4 or 5 people, and then they're the ones who represent the building for 1 year, and then they have
Mm-hmm.
another election the next year. But usually, it's the same people that are on the board year after year. They seem to enjoy doing it. So
Perfect. Thank you so much. And now, Eyal, how would you describe what's happening right now across Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and the suburbs, and why those markets behave so differently?
sure, New York City's a buyer's market. Brooklyn's a flat market. New Jersey's a seller's market. Long Island's a seller's market. Queens is kind of like a flat market like Brooklyn. A lot of people during the pandemic, a lot of people left New York City. When you get information like that, like a pandemic or a terrorist attack that happened in 2001, people automatically, it's like the movie Escape from New York. They get, it's an emotional thing, but not a realistic thing. So they get a little bit scared and they move out to the suburbs. And then all of a sudden, the
Mm-hmm.
suburbs they got flooded with a lot of people moving out. And then the interest rate went up, as everybody knows, back in 2022, I think it was. It went like double, and then all of a sudden, people were stuck. So they didn't really want to move around that much. But now the city's always getting popular. Now, right now, what's interesting is that the rental market in Manhattan drastically went up the last few years because people don't want to buy because of the high interest rates, so they're renting. So New York City's still hot, but it's coming more in the rental side. But now the rents are getting so up there in price, and now people are starting to buy more. So we're seeing it where I think that in New York, Manhattan is going to start to become a seller's market soon. It's in the early stages, but I feel that the interest rates coming down, the demand for the rentals is so high that I feel that's going up. So that's what I'm seeing right now.
Okay. When clients feel overwhelmed or scared, what do you do to bring them back to clarity and confident decision making?
Sure. I like to do a comprehensive email, basically what has gone on so far. So this is what we've done. This is what we've seen. This is where we're at. And basically, once they could see a written out and look at it transparently at their own time frame, they usually come to the best decision. It's their decision. I just put all the facts and all the possibilities in front of them so they could see it with clarity and with calmness, and usually it works out.
Perfect. And when someone says, we are just browsing, how do you quickly assess their seriousness, set boundaries, and protect your time without hurting service.
Sure. I just have a conversation, ask a few questions. I said, I understand you're browsing. What made you decide to start browsing? And what's your time frame? It's free to take a look. No problem with that. And
Yeah.
I try to find out if they're in the active phase or the exploration phase. If they're in the exploration phase, basically, which is like window shopping, I try to educate them, give them information to see if they want to convert that to an active phase. Active phase is take action and start, with a serious purpose to actually make a move on something. Sometimes the exploration phase, they're like, thank you for the information. I don't think this is for us. That's fine. Or sometimes it's like, oh, this is definitely for me. And we take it from there. So it's, conversation, ask a few questions, feel it out.
Yes, I remember you have spoken about it. Like it's kind of a screening process that you
Yes,
follow. And
definitely a screening process.
when did you learn to do the screening process?
So where I learned the screening process early on when I was a rental agent, I remember I was taking a lot of clients out, and I think like 4 or 5 clients a week. I lost about 5 or 6 pounds because I was walking around all over the city, but I wasn't making any deals because I didn't qualify them. I didn't ask them enough questions. I didn't ask them what's their move-in date, who's going to be living in the apartment. Please include all pets. What neighborhoods are you interested in? Why? Do you want to be close to work? You want to be close to a
Yeah.
particular restaurant? And when I started under asking those questions, I started to be able to be more helpful towards them because I understood their criteria. And all of a sudden, that was a change in my career, and I still do that today. And that is a standard process in anything I do: rentals, buyers, sellers, investors. I have to understand what they need, and I got to make sure I can deliver on those needs.
That is indeed a very good breakdown of the screening process that you have just
Definitely.
said. So, how do you explain the trade off between cash flow and long term appreciation, especially in a city like New York?
Sure. So let's, there's a few different variables that make an apartment worth more than another apartment. So usually one variable is being close to a train station. So let's say you're looking at an apartment in Brooklyn, for example, and if the apartment is closer in the train station, and it has more grocery stores and more little shops, which is usually the case, is you might not make as much cash flow if you rent it out, but it'll appreciate better over time because the location is superior, as opposed to getting another apartment about 6 blocks, 7 blocks away from that train station. It might be cheaper, and the rent might be, might be a little bit better cash flow in the short term because you're putting less money down. But it might not appreciate as much over 5 to 10 years because it's further away from the transportation. So it's not as in high demand as the one that's closer to the transportation, to the train station. So that's how I try to kind of explain it. If you're looking for cash flow right now and you don't have a lot of money, maybe go with something further away from the train station. But if you're looking at a 5 to 10 year long-term plan and you want appreciation, a nice little nest egg 10 years from now, closer to the train station.
Very well noted. So, what drew you to global real estate? How did your affiliation with DAR Global come about? And what makes Dubai a serious market in your eyes?
Sure. So basically, Dar Global invited me to a free breakfast. So I'm like, yeah, who doesn't want a free meal? So I went over there, and
So,
then
they
they gave me
invited
a
you.
presentation.
I'm sorry, just they invited you.
Yeah, they invited me to
Okay.
a free breakfast, and it was right next door to where I work. So I was like, all right, who doesn't want a free meal? So I went over there. I didn't know what to expect, but then I was very moved when they were telling me about the Gulf states, Dubai City in particular. Oman was another one. And when I was shocked when I found what the price point was to buy into these lavish luxury cities, especially Dubai is marketing themselves as a luxury city. To give you an idea of price point, 1 bedroom apartment over there with sea views in a lavish luxury, totally amenities building, goes for about a little over 700,000. That same thing in New York City is over $2 million. And that
Hmm.
hit me. I'm like, wow. And then I learned a little bit about Dubai. I'm still learning about it, but it's very investor friendly and they protect investors. So I got interested, and because they have a lot of pre-construction. Pre-construction is a great product to buy. You buy it before it's built, and once it's finished, you can make anywhere from 40% return on investment. So who doesn't want to make 40% on their money. Put $100,000, all of a sudden, 4 years later, it's $140,000. So that's basically, obviously, that's just an example. The buy-in's higher than 100,000, but I think I like to keep the math simple. So that's what lured me to it, because it's great. Emerging market, it's a solid investment and has a great return.
Got it. And are you involved in any other projects in Dubai?
You what?
Are you involved in any other projects in Dubai?
Oh, any other projects? I have met other people that are doing other projects. But yeah, right now I'm staying. My focus is a little bit more with Dart Global, but I am branching out slowly to other projects as well, and all of them are a little bit different, and all of them have and they all have different price points. So it's very interesting. So I like to give my clients a variety. When I have a client who's interested in Dubai, we'll start with Dart Global's products, but then we will also move to some other options as well.
Got it. And has your international background influenced how you think about risk, volatility, and advising clients across different markets?
Sure. Well, basically, I'm only gonna work on markets that I feel that my clients can be protected. So before I started working with Dubai or Oman, in the Gulf states, I looked up how it works. So the reason why I like Dart Global is they're traded in the London Stock Exchange, so that gives transparency, which is very important. Number two, they have something called the DLD, a Dubai Land Development. Basically, the money is held on an escrow account by the government there. When the building is built and they get then the developers get the money. If the building is not built and it falters, the investors get their money back, so they're protected. So pretty much that's how I kind of do it. I only work in markets where I know that my investors will have protection and an invest friendly market, and that's pretty much the formula I use.
Perfect. When a client hires you, what structured process do you put in place to show you are an expert not just by title but by execution?
Great. So first of all, usually it kind of goes, we'll have a conversation. I'll just ask them a few questions, like my screening process to see if they're active or exploration phase. I'll start with that. Once we get going, use a buyer, for example. Once we have that great conversation, I will send them a email with a buyer's guide and the review of what we went over. And if they want to make any changes to it, they can. And then we start researching and sending them listings that meet their criteria. And we ask for their feedback and constantly update it. And we take them out and show them a lot of places. Same thing with sellers. Have a great conversation, ask questions, screen them a little bit, send them a package for sellers, how to set up their apartment, how to get things in shape, what's going on with the market, some
Yeah.
comparables analysis. Then I'll go take a look at the apartment, do a final write up on the apartment, take a look at the condition of the apartment, and then pretty much we get off running, start marketing the apartment. So conversation, education, work, action. So that's how we do it.
Amazing. Now, this is a very interesting question. What is one repetitive behind the scene habit that no one sees but has made the biggest difference in your success?
Sure. Basically, well, I like to work with a team. So I have one or two people that work with me. Basically, we help become. The rule of thumb is 2 real estate agents should be able to do the work of 5 real estate agents. So speed and efficiency and service, and that's what I seem to do. And basically, I work on that. Like, research is very, very important. So we get the research going ASAP. If it's for a buyer, we want to send them a lot of listings quickly. We want to show them a lot of places, 8 to 14 places right away. If it's a seller, we get into comparable analysis right away. And then we try to find 2 or 3 apartments that are very similar that are currently on the market or recently sold, and try to compare that to their apartment and give them that knowledge. It takes a lot of work to do it, but we do it quickly because time is money in this market, and
Yeah.
any market, but this market especially. So that's a lot of stuff I do behind the scenes that people don't see. Like me and my team working, long hours to get them information right away. And they think it's like we press a button. No, it's a lot of man hours to get it done quick.
Yes, understood. Understood. So, for agents working hard but feeling stuck in New York, where would they redirect their energy first and why?
Sure. Well, as they're getting stuck, basically, I always tell agents, come to the office. Number one, stay in the office. Partner with somebody. It's a good idea to partner with somebody, and also, do an inventory of what's been going on in your business the last month? Has anything been working? Has anything not been working? And then communicate with your colleagues. I talk to my colleagues all the time. I talk to my past clients all the time. Always talking to people. You'd be surprised how much information you can get. And a lot of times, success and failure is only that far apart, 1 inch. If you just pivot just a little bit or get a little bit of information that you didn't get before, can change your business.
Perfect. So, Eyal, now we would like to move to the fun episode, which
Okay.
is real estate, reality checks, and
Okay.
New York City madness with Eyal Adri. We would like to put it this way.
Okay.
So, I'm going to ask you some questions and then you have to answer them quickly.
I'll do my best.
All the very best. So, the first one is, what is the biggest lie people believe about New York real estate?
What is the biggest lie people believe about New York City real estate? That it's cheap.
What is something buyers say that instantly tells you they are new to New York City?
When they don't know where Central Park is.
And one thing you wish clients Google before calling an agent.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. It's one thing you wish clients Googled before calling an agent.
That they Googled. Good question. That they Googled before calling a real estate agent. One thing I wish that they Googled before calling a real estate agent. Can we come back to that question? I can't think.
Sure, we can.
Sure.
Sure. So next one is, what is the deal that made you say, I need a drink after this?
So many deals. One particular deal was we almost lost the deal. I wound up having to work through the night to get everything, all the paperwork done for the co-op because there was a move-in date.
Yeah.
What was funny was a rental deal because they had a particular move-in date and we had to get the paperwork at a certain time. So I spent my entire during Christmas Eve, which is supposed to be like a day off, I had to work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. to get all the paperwork in. You know what I mean? And then I really, really needed a drink after that because I was just exhausted. Usually it takes 2 weeks to do a co-op package. I did it in like 12 hours. It was an exhausting day. So I definitely needed a drink after that one.
Thank you for sharing this. Most awkward showing moment you have ever had.
I opened a door and 2 homeless guys are sleeping on the floor.
When did that happen?
My first year in the business, I'm never going to forget it. I opened the door. I see 2 guys on the floor sleeping with empty beer cans, open beer bottles, no furniture on the floor. And that is some things you don't forget. And that was one of them. Yeah.
What is the fastest you have ever known a deal would fall apart?
The fastest I ever known a deal would fall apart. Basically, when due diligence, usually that's where it happens. So basically, as soon as we get the attorneys and we found out that the seller was not honest about the building's financials, when I saw that, I knew the deal was over before the lawyers told me. Numbers don't add up, the deal falls apart. You pretty much, when you already see it, like before the buyer or seller tell you anything, you're like, I think we're in trouble. So,
What do you think about intuition? Does intuition play any role in this? Intuition, like the inner voice, you can say.
sure. Well, yeah, definitely intuition. It's like, yeah, what I mean. When you're doing something long enough, you pretty much know how it's going to go. So basically, the buyer wants the best deal and wants a good property and wants a good building. With good financials. And when you're looking at an apartment and you think that building has all that stuff, you think you're going to have a deal. But when you find out that it does not have some of those things, the deal is going to fall apart. I don't know if it's intuition, maybe it's more experience. You pretty much know how it's going to go. Nobody wants to buy a bad building, a bad apartment in a bad building. And once one of those things is revealed, and it's dead. It's dead in the water.
That is true. Okay, if a client says Dubai is just a hype, what is your one-line response?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. If a client says Dubai is just an hype, what's your one-line response to this?
Dubai is just in hype. I would say my one-line response would be like, you're wrong, which is kind of like, it's not just hype. The infrastructure is there. You know what I mean? People are not building up buildings and the demand is there. So obviously, I would say they're wrong. And I would show them the research and the stats to prove that.
The way you have answered this question, would you still answer it this way? Like no expressions, nothing like that? Like just a simple dialogue?
No expectations, a simple dialogue? Yeah, I mean, basically, I would say you're wrong and I can prove it.
Not like this. What? What are you saying?
Well, I could say that, but I don't think I would say that because the thing is, when it comes to money, you know what I mean?
Oh,
You know,
yes, yes.
you gotta like you gotta hold your tongue to a certain. You can't say, "What are you crazy?" You might not, you know. So
I was
basically,
about to say this thing that it depends on who is asking this question, right?
that is true. That is true. I mean, if I'm in a cocktail party and I'm talking to
Yeah.
somebody in conversation and they're saying, "Well, I think Dubai is all the hype," and they're not really a customer, I'm gonna say, "What are you crazy? What's wrong with you? You know, what I mean? What do you know about it? Let me explain it to you. I'm the expert. Let me give you some expert explanation." You know, so depends on the situation. And then you asked me the question before, which I couldn't answer. I just thought of it like, you know, if somebody
My goodness, that
Googles.
was so fast. That was so fast, Eyal. Like I thought I'm going to complete the like asking you questions and then we will go on that topic, but it's amazing. Please go on.
So basically, if somebody Googled a real estate agent, and what would they, you know, what I would want Google to tell them is be loyal to
Yes.
your real estate agent. Stay with your real estate agent if you like him. Don't leave him. Like that's what I would say.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. So, what keeps you excited about real estate after all these years?
You know, the people. You meet such interesting clients in working in New York City real estate. New York City is really a very special it's an international city, really. It's a really special city. You know, you could be walking down the block and all of a sudden you're talking to a guy. I'll give you an example. I had a dog and I took him to what do they call it? Doggy daycare. Like, you know, so I go to work, you leave the dog
Yes.
in a daycare, he plays around with other dogs. So I go over there and Harry Kissinger had his dog there. Like, so you can run into, you know, you can run into Harry Kissinger, the former
Yeah.
former politician. What was he? Head of
Yes.
state under Richard Nixon, I think. You know, so you can just run into people like that all the time. You know, I run into soccer players from the European League. You know, so you just meet, and then everybody has such fascinating stories when you get to know them and you have a chance to have a rapport with them. You know, just so it's the people and their stories and from their different cultures and you know and globally. So that's what I say is very interesting about it.
Yeah, you have met people from different cultures, right? What is that one culture that interests you the most?
Interests me the most? Well, it's a tough question because they're also, you know, I fall in love with one culture, then I move on to the next culture, then I, you know what I mean? Because it opens your mind. Like you start thinking, oh, you know, I mean, lately I've been into, well, I was into Asian culture. That was a very interesting
Mm-hmm.
culture. People from China are very, very interesting, I find. But lately I've been kind of like going back to my roots. I've been getting into like what's going on in the Middle East, in the, now in the, you know, because of the Dubai project, I guess I've been very intrigued by, the Middle East, especially in the Gulf states.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with the you know Arab culture. I mean, I'm very lucky. I've always been around culture. You know, I worked on my family's business on Canal Street in New York, and Canal Street. One time, the New York Times wrote an article about it, saying that it is the embodiment of the United Nations. You have African Americans there, people from Africa, people from the Middle East. You have Jews there. You have Asian people there. You have Indian people there. You know, and we were all working together. So you really, really, you know, get to hear from Latin people from South America there. So, and we all used to work together. And when you're working in a neighborhood like that, you see these people 10 hours a day, you know? So I've always been exposed to a lot of cultures. So I can't really say I have a favorite one. I mean, it keeps on changing, but I really appreciate being an American. I can tell you that much. Being America is the best because it's the most open culture. You could
That's true.
do what you want. You could say what you want. As long as you don't hurt anybody, you can just live your life free. So there's no better culture, I think, than America than just being able to live your life freely, you know, and go about your business. So I definitely like that.
Awesome. Now, if you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing?
If I was not in real estate, what would I be doing?
Yes.
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe I'd run
Take
for
a
office.
guess.
I think I'll run for the city. I think I'll run for mayor of New York if I wasn't in real estate.
Really?
Yeah. They got a lot of the
That's
city's got a lot of problems, and I think I can fix them. So, you know,
yes, because you are the expert.
exactly. I mean, if the mayor of New York wants to do himself a favor, he should be giving me a call. I'll give him some really good ideas, you know.
Oh my god. Yes. Okay. So, last one. One
Sure.
thing you want clients to remember about you after working together.
That I worked hard for them, that I, you know, that we came to a good decision with good data and with good facts, so they feel good about the decision. And I want them to think, you know, Eyal, he worked really hard for me, and basically he made this process very simple, and
Yeah.
I'm very happy with my purchase, and I'm very happy with the service I got. That's what that means a lot to me when I get that. I just did a small deal a few weeks ago, and it was a rental deal, and the tenants were so nice. They gave me like cookies. I love cookies. They gave me some cookies and a bottle of wine, and I really appreciated it. They really appreciated all the work I did for them. It was an apartment we were trying to sell, and basically you was either sell it or rent it, whatever comes first. And we wound up renting it, and basically the tenants were very happy, and the landlord was very happy with the tenants. Everybody was very, very happy, and I was very happy about the whole thing. And they both were really appreciative, so that meant a lot to me. So.
Awesome. That's so amazing. Okay, so that's it, Eyal. This
Okay.
is all we have for you. Thank you so much for your time.
Sure, thank you. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun today, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to be interviewed. So I appreciate it.
And we thank you for all the support that you have given to us. And for our audience, this was an incredible conversation. Eyal's mastery of the New York City market, from residential charm to commercial strategy, truly shows why they call him the expert. Eyal brings clarity, honesty, and excellence to one of the toughest market in the world. So once again, thank you so much, Eyal, for joining us on Get to Know the Real Estate Ecosystem. And for our listeners and audience, until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep talking about real estate. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.